Hello everyone, welcome to Handmade Hero Show, we code a complete game live on stream. We here at Handmade Hero have been informed by none other than Jonathan Blow himself that Valve has announced new heroes for Dota. And as you know, you can never have too many heroes for Dota. Apparently, Dota just got two new heroes, Void Spirit, I'm told, and something called Snapfire, and something called Snapfire. I don't know how many heroes that brings it to, but what I can tell you is I'm sure it's not enough. So I feel like today on Handmade Hero, what we should really be doing, what we should really be focusing on instead of programming our game, is generating new heroes for Dota. And so what I'd like to do is just go through here and just make a simple command line utility we can run anytime we need a new Dota hero. And that way, anytime Valve needs to add heroes to their game, they'll be able to do it. So let's just start with the basics here. I'll do the simplest possible thing. So I'm going to go into the Handmade directory, and I'm going to make like a Dota directory here. And we just need a simple, really simple program that can get us started, right? Something that just prints stuff out. And so if we go to the, for example, in our code directory, we have utilities like this. Like we have a little HHA edit, and we have like a build that does that. So I should be able to just do something effectively similar to that. So I'm going to do a copy from our code directory of the build.bat into this Dota directory here, just to make a little, sorry, there we go. I have that alias on my work machine, so I'm used to being able to type CP whether I'm on Linux or Windows. And so we just need to take this build.bat and make it so that it just builds this one utility that we're going to want. All right, so we'll start there and we'll move out from there. So I'm going to load up for Coder, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to load this build.bat. And there's way too much stuff in here. We don't need most of this. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a single build line. I don't really want to get rid of those. I'm just going to grab a single build line for building one of these command line utilities, and we're just going to use that. And in fact, we really don't need most of these compiler commands either, but for now, I guess we'll leave it at that. Okay, so let's see. We've got the HHA edit is probably the closest thing, or the HH font, maybe the HH edit, right? So we really just want this is all we really want. You know what I mean? So this should pretty much do it. And we also don't really need to, we can just build it in this directory. That seems fine too. I mean, we don't really need to build it into the build directory. You know what? Actually, while I'm thinking about this, why don't I just build it in the Handmade Hero directory to begin with? I don't know. Let's leave it standalone. It just seems better. So a lot of this stuff, we probably don't need this stuff either, but we'll trim this down later to something a little bit more standard. So let's delete all of this. So really all we're going to do here is just have a single compile line. And what I want to do is just make it so that it's going to compile just this Dota hero gen.cpp or something. Or maybe just dotahero.cpp. And so that will get us what we actually need. I suppose, again, I can just cut and paste the ones of these in that I need. So really, I think we're really talking about something this simple at the end of the day. We'll just do just a really basic compile and just let it take care of everything for us, right? That seems good. So why even bother to copy that? I don't know. That's because, that's fine. It'll be fine. So let's go ahead and load that up, dotahero.cpp, and this will just be a standard, basic standard IO, like the old school way program here, where we'll just include who knows what from the C runtime library. God only knows what it's going to do, but you know what? That's fine. And we'll just do it, we'll do it old school. I'm still going to want my internal here because I like to put everything as internal, but other than that, we'll keep things pretty straightforward. All right, so when we have our main function here, I'm just going to return 0 because it's always going to succeed. When you ask for a random Dota hero, I don't want it to ever fail to make a new Dota hero. So then the printf here, I just want to say, you know, this is our like Dota hero generator. And, you know, I don't know what the version is. Version 1 point some stuff A beta, let's say. And then what I want to do is just, I want to build this thing, right? I'm going to make a little project file for it so that 4Coder just knows that it's something we can load and build. So out here, I believe I've got the project file. So we've got the things on this machine. I'm just going to add one for this. So this is, I don't know what we're calling this, but we're just going to call this Dota Hero for the moment, I guess. And again, we'll just leave it at that. So that's handmade Dota, and this will be like Dota Hero.prj. And then that's it. I think we just need a project file, and then it will manage it for us, and it'll all be good. Again, you don't really need to do that part if you're not using 4Coder. I'm just doing that so I have it. I can load it quickly and switch to it quickly, and it'll automatically build it for me, so I don't have to like run it from the command line and stuff like that. Okay, so if I do a Dota Hero.prj, that just needs to tell it where that stuff is. And again, that's just the same as this handmade.prj file, like this thing here. And so, again, we don't really need to give it any directories. Just say we build out of this directory and load the files from that directory, and it'll automatically load it all for us. So now we should be able to now, anytime we want to work on our Dota generator, in case we don't make it as awesome as it could possibly be today, we should be able to switch now, build, and it should, in theory, build for us, and off we go. I don't know why it says there's a fatal link error there. What happened? Did I mess up the build somehow? Oh, is that weird thing that happens with 4Coder sometimes where you can't, where it, if you have something inside the build, like if your product is inside the build directory? Did Alan ever fix that? I don't know, because I don't really do that anymore, but if that's the case, I will borrow something from the old build.bat because I don't want to have that bug. That's a really bad bug, and as far as I know, it's never been fixed. It's Windows for some reason. Like Alan was using the Windows directory watch, so he just opens the directory and says, watch this directory, and he gets notifications. That's why he knows if files changed. Apparently in Windows, if you do that, sometimes like people can't open the file handle. It was really weird. And I looked at the code myself. It didn't look like there's anything wrong with it. It just looks like Windows does that. And I don't know. I've never had a chance to ask someone on the Windows team what's going on there. I have no idea what's going on there, but it's pretty weird. All right. So anyway, that's fine. We'll just do it that way. So now it should just work, and I think it does. In here, I'll get rid of these. And so now when we build, it builds into that handmade directory. Sorry, the handmade build directory. And so we should be able to run Dota Hero from there, and we should get it. Now, since we pretty much just want to see what it generates for us, I'm going to also, in the batch file, just run it. So in here, I'm just going to run dotahero.exe, right? And that way, like when we run it, it'll just actually run it in there, so we can just build and see how our hero names are going. All right. So that's good enough for boilerplate. We don't need anything too fancy. So what I want to do in here is I'm just going to run a little loop, and we're going to generate some Dota names, right? So we're just going to say, look, there's a hero index. I'm going to run that to hero count. For now, we'll just hard code it to give you, let's say 2 hero names, because that's how many Valve announces. But later on, maybe we'll have it take an argument where you can just say how many heroes you want, and that's how many heroes you'll get, because, you know, we're a full-service institution here. So what we want to do here is we want to say, all right, give us back a hero name, please, and we'll go from there. So let's do that. Let's just do, and I'm not sure exactly how I want to do this, but I think the way I want to do it is with a simple string concatenation stack. So we'll probably do something roughly along these lines. We'll just do char star get hero name, and for right now, you'll literally just call that. So we'll say hero name equals get hero name. And then we want to print it out. So we'll say, like, you know, here's the first hero name, like so. And normally, I don't really like this kind of string. I'm a counted string kind of person, but because we're doing this as a standalone utility that uses the C runtime library, I'm just going to go with the fact that we'll use the null terminated strings, because it's unfortunately just they built that assumption into everything. Sadly. All right. So if we assume here that we just say, well, the hero name at the start, we're not going to actually generate a name. We're just going to say that the hero name is like Void Spirit or whatever it is, right? So now what should happen? Oops, that's not what we wanted at all there. What just happened there? Did I type something stupid in? We got back our Void Spirit name. We returned it. Oops. Yes, we did. Hero index. Gotta love those C printfs. There we go. So that'll print out Void Spirit, which is, you know, not particularly useful. So now what we need to do is we need to find a way to generate these, and we're just going to do some simple stuff to generate them. And the first thing I want to do is we want... Now, if we just wanted to generate something random, that'd be one thing. But what we want to do is we want to generate heroes that sound, right? That sound like these Dota heroes, right? So what I want to do first is I want to, like, grab all of these words in here, and I want to start breaking them apart. So ideally, I would like a list I can cut and paste, and the problem here is I don't know if that's actually doing it. So I was kind of hoping I could find some sort of a list that would be, like, just cut and pasteable. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm not sure. It looks like this might do the trick. Like if we just kind of grabbed that, like this, I'm thinking maybe that would help. And let me just see what that ends up being if I paste it. Yeah. So that seems pretty good. So if I just go ahead and paste that in here, right? What I want to do is take all of these pieces, right? And I want to break them up into chunks that I can recombine and make more of, right? So let's just quickly take a look at the, well, quickly, I mean, there's a lot of them here, so it ain't going to be that quick. But all I want to do is start to look at these and feel, okay, yeah, War Runner. I'm just trying to get a feel for what's going on here. It looks like Chaos Knight, Doom Dragon? Is that what, or is it Doom and Dragon? What's the, okay, I don't even know. The spaces didn't get proved. Doom and Dragon Knight. Okay, there we go. Earth Spirit, Earth Shaker, Elder Titan, Husker, Io, Kunka? Is it just me, or does that sound like some kind of like a weird racial slur that would be, you know, canceled by now? But I don't know, whatever a Kunka is. Let's see what else we got. Magnus, Mars, those are probably just single words, right? I'm gonna go ahead and guess, yeah. And then Night Stalker, Omni Knight, Phoenix, Pudge, I remember Pudge, Sand King, Slarder, Spirit Breaker, probably, yeah. Spirit Breaker, Sven, Tide Hunter, Timbersaw, Tiny, Trent Protector, or just Trent? Trent Protector. What's a Trent? I don't know, but I guess it needs protecting. Tusk, Underlord, Undying, yeah, Wraith King. Okay, so those are the first sets of heroes there. Then we've got, let's see, Anti-Mage. Oops. What's going on? Anti-Mage. There we go. So we got Anti-Mage, Arc Warden, Bloodseeker, Bounty Hunter, Broodmother, Clinks, Drow Ranger, Ember Spirit, Faceless Void, Gyrocopter, Juggernaut, Lone Druid, yes, Luna, Medusa, Meepo, Mirana, Monkey King, Morphling, Naga Siren, Nyx Assassin, Pangolier or Pangolier. I don't know if is that the French. Is that the French Dota hero? Razor, Ricky, Shadow Fiend. I'm guessing that's Shadow Fiend and not Shadow and Fiend as two separate heroes. Yes. Slark, Sniper, is it just Snark and then Sniper? Yeah. Spectre, Templar Assassin, Terrorblade, Troll, Warlord, Ursa, Vengeful Spirit, Venomancer, Viper, and Weaver. Okay. So we've got almost all of them in now. We just need this. God, it's a nuts how many of these things there are. Okay. Ancient Apparition. Bane. We've got Batrider, Chen, Crystal Maiden, Dark Seer, Dark Willow. Isn't Dark Willow from Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Yes. So anyway, back to here. Dazzle, I assume, is a single name hero. Dazzle. Death Prophet, Disruptor, Enchantress, Enigma, Grimstroke, Invoker, Jakiro. What is that? Yeah, Keeper of the Light, Leshrock, Lick. Am I missing some here? No, that's just a very long thing. Lick, Lena, Lion, Nature's Prophet. There we go. Necrophos, Ogre Magi, Oracle, almost done. Outward Devourer, Puck, Pugna, Queen of Pain, Rubik, Shadow Demon, Shadow Shaman, Silencer, Skywrath, Mage, Storm Spirit, Techies, Tinker, Visage, Warlock, Windrunner, Winter Wyvern, Witch Doctor, and Zeus. Holy cow. Okay. So now what I want to do is we want to take a look and see if we can broadly categorize these names. I'm just going to open up the same file but in a different window here. I want to try and broadly categorize these names into types, like basically like patterns that occur frequently in the Dota naming convention, so that we can obey those names, right? And I'm going to be breaking apart these lists. So what I want to do first is I want to just make, I'm going to make a separate file here for these and just put them all in there as strings probably. And the reason I want to do that is because when we're generating names, we may generate a Dota name that already exists. Like we may generate Beastmaster. And if we do, we don't want to print that out because the point is this is supposed to generate new Dota heroes, not ones that already exist. So what I want to do is I want to make a file, I suppose, in here. And maybe we'll even make this be a file that we load. And so in our Dota directory, I want to make a some kind of a text file like existing heroes.txt or something like this. And that existing heroes file will have all of the current heroes in it, and we'll leave them there, right? And that way we can load this file in, and we can load all of these heroes, and then if we accidentally, we'll use that list to compare against to make sure that we're not going to print out a hero name that already exists, right? So let's just do that as the first thing, and then I'll show you what we're going to do for categorizing these. So the way I'm going to test this, and we want to be able to load these lists in, and I want ways to load these lists in easily because we're probably going to use these lists for lots of things, right? But what I want to do here is, let's just do this where we say, okay, when you call get hero name, there's a little switch, right? And we just say if switch equals 0, or actually, let's do equals 1. I'm just going to do a real simple thing here where we say, like, okay, when we get back this result here, we're going to return on the second time through Dazzlemancer, which is one of our new heroes or whatever. And so what I want to do now is make it so that when we actually print this out, you can see like one of our things is Void Spirit, which is a new hero. Actually, we got to add that. I don't think that was added in here, was it? So we need Void Spirit. And what was the other one? Snapfire, right? Okay, so now that we have a list of all those Dota heroes, what I want to do now is make it so that we won't print out Void Spirit. So the first time we call this, we get Void Spirit. The next time we call it, we get Dazzlemancer, and we'll keep getting Dazzlemancer. So just to test to make sure that we will have a hard gate against ever printing out a Dota hero that actually exists, I'm going to do that test. Okay, so what we need here is a way to load file lists in, basically like lists of things. So I'm going to make like a string list thing. And all this is going to be is just a giant set of strings, right? It's just going to be a thing that has like tons of strings in it. And that's all it is, right? So again, C really doesn't have great ways of doing this stuff, but that's okay. This is a quick and dirty utility. I don't mind doing it crappily, right? So anyway, I'm just going to have in here a string count. And then I'm going to have a pointer to a pointer, which is the strings. And that way we can just say that we have some way of loading one of these things, and we load it, and then we know that we can pick random things out of it, and those random things will, then be accessible to us so we can check. So if I want to make sure that one of the hero names that comes back is not going to be one of the ones that's in the existing Dota list, I would need some way of doing that. So I would need like, existing heroes equals load string list, and I would need to say load in whatever that that list is there. And in the build.bat, you can notice this really needs to be run in our actual data directory. So we kind of want this to do this sort of thing, right? We want it to come back to the main directory and then run it, so it'll have access to its data files. So the existing heroes.txt file, we want to load that in, and then what we want to do is every time we get one of these heroes back, we want to do an if here, right? Technically, I guess we want to do this as a while, but either way, we'll figure that out in a second. In fact, I can do it this way, I guess. Like that. So basically, we will just try to generate these heroes, and when we get ones that already match, we'll skip those. We just won't print them out, right? So I just want to say if string exists in, so I can just say, take this existing heroes list. I don't really need the address of. I can just do it like that. Actually, I can just pass it as by value because it only has 2 things in it. See, if this string that we get back exists, then I don't want to print it out, right? Like, that would be bad. So we want to basically do that. Say if it doesn't exist, then we print it. If it does exist, we skip it. And this needs to be something here that just returns, true or false. I guess I'll use the regular bool here, just because this is a C runtime library program, so I should probably stick with their convention and not go outside of it, since we're not in the Handmade Hero codebase at the moment. So there's our string list. Here's our string. And so all we need to do here is just loop over these. Now, again, if we were worried about performance, we would want to do something clever here, like a hash table or something. We're not. We've got so much compute power to spare, this is not going to be an issue. So we're totally fine to skip that for now. All right, so we look at the string index. We just loop over. We know exactly how many we have because the count is right there. I may just call that just straight up count because there's not going to be anything else in here. So it should just be that. So we're just going to loop over each of these, and we'll basically say the result equals false, and we'll assume that we don't find it. Then if we do, we'll say result equals true and break. So we'll say if strings are equal, and I guess I could use strcomp here. I tend to not to like to do it because it's kind of a weird function. But I'll use it for now, and we'll see. I might decide not to later and pull that out. So in here we've got list of strings, we've got our index. So that's our string comp right there. And that'll prevent us, the equal 0 is when it actually matches, which is kind of confusing, but that's how string comp works. It was made for doing ternary compares, so you do less than or greater than depending on the order. That's so you can use it for sorting. So anyway, now all we need is a way to load these things up. The trouble with loading them for us is the size limitation. We don't know how many there are going to be until we actually spin through the entire file. So we can make a dynamically growing set here, or who knows what we can do. It depends, but I'll figure something out on the fly. So here's our load string list function, and here's the file name, so that's where we want to do it. What I want to do here is I just want to get the file open, and in this case we're going to read it as non-binary. So we want to read the file as a text file because that is what it actually is. So we're going to say, all right, let's get this file in here. Let's loop through all the lines. If we can't get it, I'll just print a simple diagnostic message. I'll fprintf it to standard error just in case those are getting routed separately, but I'll just say cannot open this file. So that's just a thing that we're printing out as a courtesy in case one of the files is missing in the future, and we're just, why isn't it working, right? And that's why. So the string list will still work. The program will run, but there won't be anything in it, and that won't obviously be good. But so what I probably would want to do here also, I suppose, is fill it out with one thing. So maybe I'll do the count here equals 1, and the strings list here is like the error string set or something like that. And so I'm just going to make a little thing here, which is like error string set, like this maybe. So that way, if we didn't have a required file, it would just print out error everywhere, just so you could see, and the rest of the program wouldn't like divide by 0 and crash, because we might divide by this number at some point, and so I don't want to ever actually have there be a 0 there. In fact, I might even go so far as to say, do this. So that's always, they're always valid, right? So there always has to be one there. If that makes sense. And we could also pad it. We could do that so it just wouldn't print anything out. I don't know how we want to do it, but we'll figure it out. So anyway, that's all good. And what we need now is some way of actually f-reading these lines. So I'm going to just do total cheese here, again, because I don't care. So we're just going to do an fgets. An fgets, again, for those of you unfamiliar with it, because we don't use the runtime library on Handmade Hero, but if you don't know what it is, you can look it up here. It's pretty straightforward. All it's going to do is it's going to give us a line of the file. That's all it's going to do, right? And so we just want to read these a line at a time. So when we do this fgets here, you have a string, a number, and a stream, right? The number is just how big the buffer is. So it's literally just like this, right? And then the stream is just where it's coming from, and then we put it in there, right? So each time we read one of these things out, we're going to sort of get the next string in the file, and then for each one of these, it should tell us, I think, so there's an eoff. Feoff will be set when it gets to the end. So in here, we can just do a while loop, right? We can just do like while, what does this return? A non-zero will return the case of the end of file indicator set the string is set. So we want, while it's not feoff, we're just going to read lines from the file. And then when we're done, we're going to close the file and call it a day, right? And that's it. So I think that's all we really need there. And then we have to figure out a way to actually store these. And that's how we'll get data into our program. So where's our errors here? Syntax error. Oh, hold on one second. There is one thing I would like to do. There's a thing that prints like full path names in here. Isn't there? I don't remember exactly what it is. And column diagnostics, I want those. Let's get those in here, and debug and stuff like that. So I would like to have this stuff probably. There we go. So anyway, what is the complaint here? We've got a char star error string. Shouldn't that? What's wrong with that? Oh, that's all. Just a semicolon. I'm like, that looks fine, but the semicolon doesn't. All right. So now what we need to do is actually put something in here besides this. And so as we read these things in, what we need to do is we need to figure out how many there are. So here's one thing we could do. We could just count and read a second time is the other thing we could do if we wanted to. In fact, let's just do that. Like, why not, right? That seems pretty straightforward, actually. So what we could do is just say, all right, like, hey, we'll just do this. That's how many we have, I guess. Seems reasonable. Go back to the beginning. I'm playing it pretty fast and loose here, folks, and I apologize. That's just the way it is, I guess. I don't know if we have to clear that FE off there. So we'll take a look at that in a second. But maybe we just do it this way. Count the strings, allocate the memory, fill them in. I could use a dynamically growing array, but I don't know. Why bother? I don't think I care. So this seems fine. So what I could do here is just say, all right, we then know how many there are. So the count equals the expected count now. Or actually, I guess I still want the count to equal 0. And every time we read it, maybe I'll do result.count ++ there. So we'll do strings result count ++ equals malloc, however big the string is. And then we'll copy it in, right? Something like that. So this would basically just say, look, I'm going to get the address of the pointer that we're putting this one into. We're going to malloc some memory for the string. And then we're just going to copy. I think we can actually do this, right? I think. This is actually a size T, not a, yeah. So this would read one in. It would tell us how big it is. We would then allocate space for it and copy it in. I assume that would be fine. I don't really know. But again, I don't really care. And I don't care if there's bugs in this program. It's just made to generate Dota heroes. It's not mission critical. I would never use any of these functions if it was. So that should be fine. So let's just copy it in there. Like so. And that should give us our strings, hopefully, right? But again, I don't actually know. We also need to step through that. But I also don't actually know about that FE off. So we've got some stuff we have to do there. Oh, and one other thing, obviously, I need to actually allocate our string array. So I need to allocate space to store those strings. That's about it. Yeah, okay. So let's actually go debug this and get this working, and then we should be off and running with all the basic stuff we need. We need a concatenator, but that's about it. So let's see, Dota hero.exe. Let's load it up in remedy. I should have updated my remedy. Oh wait, I did update my remedy. What a good boy am I. Let's make sure that we run it, however, in the w handmade Dota directory. Let's step in there. Let's try to load the string list. Let's see how many it thinks are there. Expected count, 121. We'll allocate the memory. See what we get in our buffer. That's exactly what we want. How big is the buffer? It's 8 long. That's exactly what we want. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. Yep, that's exactly what we want too. That looks good. Everything looks good here. Let's see what happens when we're done. I just want to take a look now at the result and see if this looks right. It should be 121, and each of these should be like some strings. I don't know why we're seeing that period there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I know why. It's going to include that \n. So I think we probably want to trim that. So like, I think we probably want to do something like like do the null termination ourselves. So after we do this mem copy, I'm just going to trim that back. So I'm going to get rid of those \ns there, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know exactly how I want to do that, but maybe what I'll do is just something like this. This is kind of wasteful, but I may even do this right here. And so all I'm doing here is just getting rid of anything that I think is going to come in as part of that fread that I don't really want, right? I don't want those in there. So I'm just going to like clean that buffer out first. And you can see that now it's actually working. So now we're preventing void spirit from coming through, and we're loading our string lists properly, right? Okay, so step 2. Now we have to actually do the real work here. That was just basic stuff. No big deal there. But what we need to do here now is we have to actually go through and take like the pieces of these that look like they mean something, like the ways that these happen to work out. We need to try and break them into sort of component parts, right? And so the first thing I want to do is let's focus first on things that are two English words welded together, right? So basically, like, you're taking like a noun and a verb, and you're putting those two things together, right? So, because I see a lot of that. Like, I see a lot of that. Beastmaster, Brewmaster, Night Stalker, Bristleback, War Runner, Clockwork, not really, Earth Shaker. So let's start by removing those hero names and making those be in the generator as ideas, right? So I'm going to call that, for lack of a better term at the outset, I'm going to call that like a primary noun. So we're going to have a list of these primary nouns, and the primary nouns are going to come from specifically these sets. So like beast and brew, and I'm going to separate the master part of that out. So meaning this will go into our secondary list, and we'll see how that goes. I'm going to make all of these be lowercase because we're assuming the capitalization will happen at the end, right? So here's war, and we'll separate runner out to the bottom, right? I don't know if a bristle is technically a noun but it is, I guess, the thing on a yeah. Clockwork is a little bit more tricky there because I'm not sure what. I guess that is sort of the same. So I'm gonna treat it this way for now. If we have to pull it and do something a little bit more fancy there later, maybe we will, but we'll just leave it that way for now, right? So again, just break these out. Really straightforward. Just scanning the list. Omni-Knight is kind of a different kind of name, so I'm gonna skip that one for now. And we'll look at it a little bit more. Let's see, and I'm being kind of fast and loose with these, so it's not a hard and fast English rule. Really, it's more of a kind of more of a general sort of trend there. You know, I'm just trying to, it's sort of a loose criteria that roughly works, right? All right. What else we got? Gyrocopter. I'm gonna give that a pass because it sort of seems like it could get in there. Into that set. I'm gonna say those are as well. Honestly. Just kind of clean that out there. Lancer as well. Not really. Mancer's already in there, isn't it? No, it's not. It's so crazy how many of these there are that are this pattern, though, right? I mean, you're seeing so many of them in there. Not really. Death Prophet, probably, if we're honest about it, is pretty close. It's pretty close, right? Don't know about Grimstroke. That might be a bridge too far. Yeah, I'm gonna go with yes on that one. And I think we're almost done. I think we've got almost all of them. All right. So our first way we can generate a hero name is going to be by using these two lists, and that'll get us started. I'm going to go ahead and open up, we have that primary noun file, right? So, oops. There's primary noun.txt, and I'm going to call this like secondary action, maybe verb, something like that. And we're going to put those in here, right? I should double check that we can have, that we don't add things to the list that aren't actually, don't have any length. So maybe something like this. You know what I'm saying? Let's just get that going. All right. So now what I want to do is get these lists up and loaded. I don't think I care about global variables here at all. So I think I'm just going to make all of these things accessible to everybody. So I will probably just do this. And everyone can have these. All right. So we're just going to load these up right at the beginning of the program here. And that way we'll have all this stuff in there. So we can have our primary noun text, oops, and our secondary verb text file, right? Those should get loaded. Oops, I didn't actually include that string list structure before I started actually using it. Let's just fix that. And now we should be able to actually generate some hero names. So what we can do first is we just need some way of picking a random number, and then we can just pick a random one out of each of those lists and put them together, right? So what I want to do is I want to say, okay, the result is going to simply be equal to a concatenation of two things. First, I want to capitalize the first letter, right, of a get primary noun. And I guess this is like just random from primary noun, something like that. So I want to capitalize the first letter of it, and then I want to concat directly with a random from the secondary verb, okay? And that's the most basic rule that I can have to generate something new. And so those are the functions I need, and hopefully they are not particularly hard to implement. And again, we don't have to care about memory or anything here. We're just in party mode, so everything is on the table, and it's fine. So we've got concat, and I want to do like a char A, char B thing where we concatenate two strings together in the slowest, stupidest possible way. Again, like really, really dumb here. Okay. And so we're just going to use rand, and we're going to mod with rand max. Since I'm going to be calling rand a lot, though, I think what I do want to do is have an actual function for it so that we can replace the C-random number. The C-random number generator is absolute garbage, so we may want to replace it with a real, because this is all about random generation, right? So we probably want to actually have a thing here that's like get random count or something like that, where you pass in the count and it gives you back a rand mod that, right? Just this. And so when we do random from list, I just want to do like a get random count on the list count, and that's the char star I'm going to return. So the result here is just list strings plus that value, and I return that result. Oops, sorry. Can't see, my head's in the way. There we go. Right. To capitalize the first thing, I just need to do a, like if star A, so like if there is something in there. We don't really need to do this probably, but I just need to do like two upper so that that thing gets capitalized, right? And that's it. Maybe something like that. We probably could just do that because if it was 0, two upper wouldn't do anything. So we probably don't really need to check star A, but you know, I did anyway, right? So here when we do this result, what I want to do is I want to make it safe for you to pass anything that you want in. So I'm going to do like if A and B we can cat, else if A we return A, else if not we return B, right? And I guess that's just this, right? And so all I want to do here is just, you know, take these two strings and I want to smush them together, right? I don't know if stircat will do that for me, but I don't really care because it takes 10 seconds to write, so it's fine. All I want to do here is just say, all right, alen equals stirlen A, blen equals stirlen B, result equals malloc, alen plus blen plus the null terminator, right? Result alen plus blen equals 0. That puts the null terminator in. And then I'm just going to mem copy these two, right? So we basically got into our result in the first part, we're going to put A. And into the second part, we're going to put B, right? So two upper, I think, is like some kind of a like char.h or something. I don't really remember what it's called. Where is that? I don't remember what. It's like C type or C type. That's what it is. What's the problem here? Oh, that produces an int. Not anymore, it doesn't. So I'm just going to pass this through here because it's just going to do it in place and it's fine. All right. So as you can see, we're already sort of generating names that are 100% Dota-y. Since we're trying to test it here, I want to kick us up from 2, right? But basically, like, we're already kind of done. I mean, there's no way you can tell me that, like, those are not Phantom Doctor and Life Assassin and Gyro Hunter are totally are totally things that are going to be in Dota, right? Like there's no way that War Assassin isn't a valid Dota hero, okay? And we haven't even done anything yet, so we're off to a good start. Right? Like off we go. I knew this was gonna be easy, and it is. Humans aren't so creative after all, are they? All right, so I'm just going to push this a little bit further. Now, there's a lot more we could do with those, because remember that we could also have a few different rules for how these come together, even using the ones we have already. And so, for example, what I might want to do is do a split on those two words and generate two different types of result from it, right? So what I could do is something like this. I could say, like, give us a switch on a random count. What was it? Get random count. And I'm just going to say, give me, like, two different possibilities here, right? So there's possibility 1, and there's possibility 2, right? And so what I want to do here is inside these, I'm going to have just two different ways of concatenating the same crap. Because Dota does that for their heroes. They have two different ways of concatenating the same crap, right? One way is to capitalize the first name and then stick the other one on the end of it. Another way is to insert a space and capitalize both of them. Right? So it looks like that. Now what I want to do here is I don't want to have to sit around typing this crap all the time. So what I'm going to do is just say, well, all right, if you give me multiples of this stuff, I'm just going to stick them all together. So a concat of 3 things is just a concat of the 2 back ones concatenated with the final one. That way I can just string these together like a frickin' party all the time, right? And I can just keep on keeping on. Right, and all I have to do is just do the last one. I don't know how many of these we're going to have, but that's probably enough, right? There are languages, I think this is called currying. There's a language feature name for this. And of course, C++ didn't have it because, you know, why would it have a language feature? They don't put language features in C++. So here we go. So now we can do things like getting space in the names. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is when you look, there's times when we'll come up, like Timbersaw is the name of an existing hero. But we didn't match it against our list because it's got a space in there now, right? So what we might want to do is when we do our string exists in, what we might want to do is collapse those 2 strings down first into something that will get matched just based on the just based on the version that doesn't have spaces. Do you know what I'm talking about? So I may say like sort of exists like that. And if we run here, you can see we're not randomized, so we're going to get that number 5 Timbersaw every time. What I want to do now is I want to make sure we don't get that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare these 2 strings to my own string compare, but that string compare is going to be based on the versions that don't have spaces, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 2 pointers, A and B. And what I'm going to do here is say that we're going to loop through them. So while star A and star B, right? What I want to do is skip any spaces. So while star A, and star A or A0 is not equal to space. Or sorry, is equal to space. Actually, I suppose that does itself, right? That's all we need. So while A is a space, skip it. while B is a space, skip it. So we're just skipping over, right? We're just going to skip over the spaces wherever they should occur. If A is not equal to B, then so I'm going to assume true when we start. I'm going to say, assume they match, right? Oh, sorry. So assume they match at the outset. Loop through here. If they're ever not equal, I assume that they've failed, right? And we break out of this loop. If the result is ever true, then we break out of the loop and return, right? It's a little bit squinky, but I think that's basically what we want. Now, I want this here to do a to lower on these guys so that also if we capitalize something and they didn't or whatever, we're not going to consider that similar. And these are on the... There we go. There we go. I may have accidentally created an infinite loop there, though. I just realized I didn't put the plus plus in there. That's my bad. Sorry, infinite loop. Yeah, I don't know where that is. There it is. Okay. Whew. All right. So each time through here, we have to increment our A and B, which I forgot to do, right? All right. So thankfully now we got rid of our timber saw, which is all I really wanted to do there. But as you can see, we're still also always generating the exact same heroes, which we don't really want to do. So I would like to do an srand time or something here, like, you know, so that we're going to get different ones. I don't remember, or is it clock? There's an easier way to do this. I don't remember exactly what it is. But I would like to go ahead and let me close this out. There we go. I would like to go ahead and have a good way to srand. Just to seed the random number with something. Time null, that's what they do. So that's time.h. And that means, you know, as we run it, it'll just change over time. Unsigned int. Is that really a problem? So what's a time t these days? So I think I probably just have to cast it, and that'll be fine. Okay. Windseeker is excellent. Beast Ranger, War Stealer, Timbermaster. It's very good. All right, so something weird happened here. Why is War Stealer intercaps? Did I screwed something up? Didn't I? Somehow. Whoops. So what happened there? Why did how did that happen? Like, that shouldn't be possible, right? It should only capitalize when we insert a space. It should never capitalize when we don't. And all of these are lowercase, right? So how did it do that? Hold on a second. If I don't srand, do I get one of those? Gyrolancer, number 8, does that. So I want to take a look at what happens on number 8 there, because I obviously screwed something up, and I just want to fix that real quick before we put in some more rules and some more words, right? So, okay, in here, what I'm going to do is I just want to skip to number 8, which is actually number 7 in our case. So I want to go till the hero index is there, which is right like that, and we'll skip in here. So let's see where we go. We return a random value, and we end up in this case where we do a concat on these two. So I'm going to just let this thing get its results back. I don't know what those results are. So it actually got back. Oh, duh. I'm not copying those. Stupid me. So I need to actually copy those. When we do capitalize first, I should actually copy them because I'm modifying it. I actually just returned it directly. That was pretty stupid, actually. So my bad. We should just have a clone here. Right? So in this case, all I'm going to do is just say, okay, len equals strlen a. I might as well do the whole 9 here, even though I don't really need to be defensive here, but I'm going to anyway, just because. And this is basically the stir copy routine, or something. There's a C runtime library routine that does this, but I don't like using the C runtime library when I can just write it myself most of the time, because who knows what they're doing in there, right? It's always a gigantic mess. So I'm just going to allocate this guy and do the mem copy in. And try not to make the order of my parameters wrong. Okay, so I think we're good now. I'm going to turn my srand on again just for fun. And looks good, right? Botwerk, Clock Hunter, Blood Hunter. So what I would like to do here is there are a few things like Verk that maybe shouldn't appear as separate last sections. So in that secondary verb list, we've got some things that maybe shouldn't be there, like Mancer and Lancer and stuff. So I'm going to separate those out into a slightly different one. So I'm going to do secondary suffix or something like that. And all I'm doing here is just picking out ones that I don't want placed as a separate second word, right? Copter, probably. Back. Rider. Lancer and Mancer. So I think that's good, right? Okay. So I think that's fine. And then inside the Dota Hero thing, I'm going to add that to, oops. I'm going to add that to our list. So in here, we're going to have string list, secondary suffix. I might label what these are. So like, or and so this here, the secondary verb should maybe just be verbs, and we should separate secondary nouns as well. So that might be a to-do on the list a little bit later. But for the moment, I'm not being too, like I said, it's pretty loose because the Dota names are kind of ridiculous. So, you know, if we come up with something ridiculous, if anything, it's good that we did that, not bad, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put that on there, right? And so now we won't see those, but I want those to be on there. So what I want to do now is in my list here where we do random from secondary verb. So in here where we're doing the concat with a space, I don't want that. But what in here I want to say you can grab from secondary verb or you can grab from secondary verb or you can grab from secondary suffix, right? So I want something like this. So you can merge those two together, right? And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, let's suppose that we can look across many of these lists if we need to, and merge them together. And so that way we can kind of create random numbers that are going to be spanning more than one set. I don't really know whether I want the random to pick which one of those is going to do and then pick, or whether I want to pick across the set. That's a hard decision. Right, I don't really know, because you could see here, what if we did something more like this, like get secondary verb or suffix, right? Something like that. Or maybe we just call this like a secondary ending, right? And what that did is it said, look, give me a random case here. And what I want you to do is decide either use secondary verb or use secondary suffix. And so then what we can do is then, if we know we can do any, it's like any secondary ending is a thing that we want, right? And off we go. Okay. So now we should see those, like, anytime we're using something that has a concatenation, like here we get Gyrocopter, right? But we should never see copter on its own on the outside. And that's all that was designed to prevent, right? Okay. So now let's add another type of dota pattern in, right? So here what I'd like to do is say when we have a separate secondary word there, I'm going to say that there's a set of things that can happen on that outside, right? So we've got secondary verb. Let's make secondary noun as a thing, right? So secondary noun patterns are ones like king or something like that, right? And writer should have been one of those, potentially. But I don't know, things that could get stuck on the end, I don't know how we want to treat this exactly, but we'll see. So secondary noun will add these things in there that we're supposed to be. And we'll put chaos and dragon in those. So we'll take those names and we'll split those out into our primary noun list, and off we go, right? Okay, so I'm going to go get that primary noun list back. And what I want to do here is just grab all of these. How did Earthshaker not make it into that list? I don't know, right? But I'm going to grab all of these, and all of those folks are coming in there, right? Dashes we're going to have to look at a little bit separately. There's a lot of these. We're going to up our Dota abilities. Considerably here, I think. Right? Oh, Vengeful Spirit. Sorry, that's technically not one, because Vengeful Spirit is that's not a noun at the beginning. Vengeful is a descriptor, right? So I suppose like Lone Druid and Vengeful Spirit really shouldn't be in there, because those are not nouns. Those are descriptors, and we want to handle those a little bit separately, right? So I just want to be careful there. Let's see. Outworld Devourer really is one of those ones that should have a secondary thing. We'll look at that one in a second as well. I think Shadow Demon and Shadow Shaman fall into that category. So does Storm. Skywrath Mage, I guess, because a Skywrath... I think I want to handle Skywrath separately. So we'll make that be a separate thing. Yeah. So I think that's good. All right, so I want to create a new one here, which is a secondary noun, right? And secondary nouns are things that should only go in that second position, right? And we don't know that. Like, we may find that we actually just allow all nouns to go in any slot, and that's better. But for now, I'm going to keep it the way Dota kept it, right? Just to keep with their naming convention for now, right? Actually also want to put Shaker in here. I don't know how we missed it, but we did, right? So in secondary noun, we've got Knight already. We need Titan, Commander, Stalker, Breaker, Protector, King, warden, void, spirit, it's already there, fiend, assassin, warlord, maiden, demon, shaman, and a wyvern. All right. Now all of these are things that can just loop right into our primary noun list, right? Oops. And what I'd like to do now is just incorporate. Now, if we run it, we'll get some bonus because we've got some new faceless doctor. Okay. Did I have like a... I should put spaces on that. Did I? Yeah. So I've got some spaces in there, which I should probably trim those because those will end up putting in some extra... Yeah, so that I was like, that shouldn't have had a space in that one if it didn't. Yeah. Oops. Okay. Let's try that one more time. Okay, so here we got a bounty back. We got the chaos assassin. We've got wingcopter. Some of these probably should be... we should require spaces between them. I don't know how we're going to do that because I'm not sure what the rule really should be, but we'll have to look at that. But anyway, Crystal Mother, Bat Mother, very good heroes, obviously. Venom Hunter, Spirit Mancer, Drow Lancer, very good. These are all... Timber Shaker is clearly an excellent hero. A Life Back, I don't know about that one, but Windcopter certainly, I mean, obviously. But anyway, we need to put these in here now. So those, our secondary nouns are now, need to be incorporated into the generator as an idea, because we don't have, we're loading the secondary nouns, I think, or are we? We're not even loading the secondary nouns. So we need to load them in, and then we need to use them for something, right? So we need secondary nouns. Oh, there it is. I put them there. So did I actually load that list? Yeah, we did. So we have the secondary nouns loaded. They just never get used for anything. And so what I want to do here is where we do this secondary verb, I want to also have secondary noun, right? So much like we had get secondary ending, I want to have get secondary word as a thing. Or I should say get final word. So it's a word that ends the thing. So it can be one of these secondary suffixes, or it could be one of these secondary nouns, right? And so that's going to be our get final word call, and we'll do that here. Okay, so now we should get some of those, yeah, like a Venom Shaman we couldn't have had before. Now we can have a Venom Shaman. We can also have a Crystal Titan. Couldn't have had that before. We can have it now, right? All right, so we've got some good stuff in there, and we're definitely improving our Dota heroes. But what you'll notice is there's still some obvious restrictions here because Dota has two things, at least, that we don't have at all right now. Like, you wouldn't... Oh, Monkey King. How do we miss Monkey King? I don't know how that happened. Anyway, so Dota has some things that we don't really do yet, right? And first of all, they're ones that are like... there's some of these things like Queen of Pain, Keeper of the Light. Those are rarer, or natures like apostrophe S, right? We don't really have that concept in there. But those are pretty few and far between. So if we never generated one of those, nobody would probably bat an eyelash because there's very few of them, right? But what you will notice is there's a lot of like single word sorts of things in here. And we don't have any chance of generating those, and there's a lot of those. So someone might look askance at our system for not having some of those. And so what I'd like to do is try to come up with a strategy for generating some Dota-sounding short words like that. And that's going to be the hardest part, I think, of our program. Because this part so far was a cakewalk, right? It's not very hard to generate things that sound like Dota names. So I think we'll pass that test with flying colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to separate these out here. And what we're going to start to do is we're going to look at these. These are words we're going to attack a little bit separately because they're closer to what we've already been doing, and we just need a little bit of upgrades to handle names like that. But what I want to look at now is words like these where they're kind of a little bit more small, simple syllable words, right? So I want to try and get some of these together. Let's look at these. So let's try to make ones that are sort of nonsense words, you know, that feel a little bit like nonsense words anyway. And maybe we can try to get some of those somehow, right? Terrorblade is actually one that we can handle this way. But let's keep looking here. So just trying to grab some here that feel like the kinds of things we could do. Probably. Just looking at how they tend to make these names, you know. So like, so I guess what I would say is like there doesn't seem to be a lot I can really get from those. So the problem that I see with this, right, is just that I need a way of generating nonsense words like slarter that sound like they're from Dota, but I'm not sure what the actual thing is that makes something sound like it's from Dota. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and see if I can literally just not do anything and have it work. So I'm gonna do the following, and this is, I am just pulling this straight out of the posterior here, my friends. So I'm gonna break these into pieces that I would call sort of like consonant vowel, if you will. Oops, that was not what I wanted. Consonant vowel dot text. And all I'm going to do here is try to pull out of this list the consonant vowel chunks that I think are interesting. So, for example, na, ja, ki, ro, pa, go, slaw, ku, ba, who, clee, lee, and right, you can see what I'm doing here, right? Lee, we've already got nay, no we don't. Nay, che, me, we've got key, so we just need re in there. Slaw's already in there. Po is not. Mi, ra, na. Mi, ra, na. Na's in there. I don't think ra is. It's not. We'll stick a ba in there for good measure. A lay in there for good measure. A crow. A foe. Oops. A lee is there. Na is there. Poo. Ra's there. Is nay there? No. And ka is there, right? No, it's not. All right, so what I've done is I've broken the syllabary, right, of these names in Dota, and I've kind of just gotten their nonsense names split up a little bit. So those are consonant vowel sounds, and then these are just going to be like raw vowel sounds, right? And I guess dawn would be one, maybe, and we'll leave it at that. And so these are just going to be raw vowel sounds. So R, maybe RR, NK, NKZ. There's sort of ones that are vowel, like ER, and I don't really know what I want to do about those. So we'll take a look at those later, but we'll just leave these in there as sort of more raw sounds. So I'm going to make another file called consonant only, and this now we're going to have to start to try and work out how this will happen. And this is, again, going to be tough. This will be the toughest part of this program for sure, if we can manage to get something. I don't have a lot of time left, but we'll see how we do. So, all right, so this is for our nonsense names. So we've got consonant, vowel, and just consonant. And if we go into Dota Hero, I'm just going to put those in here. I may be spelling that wrong, and I apologize. But we need those two lists here. Oops. All right, so now we have, consonant.text apparently is not there. Oh, I think because I called it consonant only. my bad. Okay. So for right now, what I'm going to do is when we call get hero name, I'm going to really quickly if zero this out, and I just want to focus on just those names for now, and then we'll add them as a third case. So what we're really going to do is this, right? We're really going to do get nonsense name for now. And so I will eventually turn that on, but at the moment, I just want to practice these only. So what we're going to do is we're only going to have the nonsense names for now. And that way we can just try to get those working. So like get nonsense name is going to have to do something, and this is going to be the hard part of the program. So here we go in result, and I'll say, all right, let's just start by saying, I don't know what we're going to do here, but just let's make sure this is working at all. We're going to say, give me a random from consonant only. I'm sorry, from consonant vowel, a random from consonant, and a random from consonant vowel again. I don't know. I have no idea what that's going to do. Only, sorry. And it's not awful, right? It's not awful. Honestly, it's not that bad. So I Toad is so fucking stupid. Honestly, if you told me there was a hero called Nagna or Slosky, I would say sure there is. Of course there is. Oh. Okay. So I thought this was going to be the hard part of the program. It's not. Oh, man. Okay. Whew. I'm going to add a couple more in here, like ND, DD, maybe KL and LK. I don't know. See how those do at all. Pretty darn good. And so I'm going to say that there should also be a vowel only. That's just, I suppose vowel only is really just like if you want to start with O or A or something. But I'm going to say there's a vowel only as well. And that's just like A-E-I-O-U for now. But we may like want that to be a little bit more ridiculous. So basically, like, that was ridiculous. I mean, I guess it's way easier than I think it is. I was thinking we didn't have to do anything. It's just like make up a ridiculous collection of syllables and it sounds like a dodo name. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. All right, so off we go. Here's vowel only, good news. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the nonsense name now will just have a switch for what it wants to do here, where we'll just have a couple patterns. Oops. We'll just have a couple patterns that we use, and we'll see which, if any of them, if they all tend to work out. I don't know. Let's make like 5 patterns. I'm just apparently pulling stuff out of your butt is just fine for doing the names, like, right? Because they pulled them out of their butt, so I guess I can pull them out of mine, or my computer can pull it out of their butt just fine too. All right, so we're gonna take and we're gonna say let's make our nonsense name is gonna have some stuff in it here, and that's fine. And then I'm gonna make a bunch of these. So we already know that this one works, right? That works just fine. But what about some other ones, right? What about some other patterns here that we could use? Right, let's just make up 5 of them. Right? And honestly, to be honest though, really we could break this down into 2 categories. So we could, instead of doing 5 here, well, I mean, maybe we do, yeah, like maybe we do like consonant only, like vowel only, consonant vowel or something. I don't know which, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know. I'm sorry. I have no idea what I'm doing. What I was going to say, though, is, so what I think we should do in addition is, after we generate this, we should roll, like, if you roll a random, let's say, there's a 1 out of 10 chance. I don't know. 1 out of 8 chance, something. 1 out of 10 chance that whatever complete crap we generated there will concat on itself. So like with one of these ridiculousnesses, right? So once in a while, and it looks like we didn't generate any there, sadly. Maybe that's too, yeah, we'll get one of these, you know? Kind of things. It looks like maybe it's only really appropriate for ones that start with consonant vowel, so not ones that start with consonant only. I'm not sure we actually want to start with consonant only, so I might get rid of that entirely. Right? All right. So I think that's probably good. I don't know if that should be capitalized interwide. So I don't know if the NA should be capitalized in that or not. But I think we're good. Okay, so now if we let this go, right, we can get a really respectable looking set of Dota names now, right? I mean, I defy someone to know the difference between this list and an actual list of Dota heroes, right? So that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that, right? But what I would also like to do is get some more like possibilities in here once in a while. So these was what I would call maybe core Dota names. Once in a while, I'd like to go nuts with it and just say, look, what if we had like nonsense name and then a final word as well, right? So every so often, you know, if you did a get random count here, like this sort of thing, every so often I'd like to see, maybe it's a little more frequent than that, I'd like to see a concat with capitalized first get final word on these guys, right? So a nonsense word, but then a real noun, right? I mean, a real ending that we concatenate onto whatever the nonsense word is we generated, right? And so that way, you know, you can get stuff like Gokpa Protector, which we wouldn't have gotten before, which I think is a good addition to like the set of things that we can have, right? You know what I mean? I thought we took Verk out of the set of things that were final word. Didn't we say that we weren't supposed to have that? Oh, this is wrong. This is, get final word is supposed to be verb, isn't it? I think we screwed that up. Yeah. Because like verk and stuff, like the secondary verbs were supposed to be there, not the suffixes. Yeah. I messed that up. Sorry. That was my bad. All right. So this is a pretty respectable list. Prophet, I feel like, is a secondary noun. I feel like that should be in there. So that's looking pretty good. So now all I want to do, just to make it so that it's a little bit more powerful, we can do a ton more stuff with this, obviously. But I want to just add our own words in now. Right? So we're just going to add our own set. So let's see. In this list, for example, we just got, it's obvious what's here. Like, so, let's just make up some words that sound like they go with this list. Right? And we should put a lot more in there, but I just want to go through this list and put them in there. That should really be here. All right. So really this should have been in here. Um, we should be adding like way more words than this, but I'm just trying to do like a quick and dirty, job here. I don't know if that'll really work. Also, all right. So I don't know if we made it better or worse. We made it better. Seller should really be stealer, I think. Thief should be in here, sure. Controller's not that good. I think our job here is done. I feel like Forge has got to be in here somewhere. Am I wrong about that? I feel like we need a Forge. I think we're good. Here's 100 Dota heroes, Valve, if you need them. I think there's maybe our mix is not perfect. Like we probably should. Silencer also looks like more of a final noun. Like, Forge might want to be. I don't know. All right. I don't really know. There you go. That's what we've got. I don't suppose John is probably still here, but hopefully we can send him some of these quality names now so that he, as a game designer who I know would like to be able to design games like Dota won't have to come up with all of these awesome hero names himself, right? So I think that's pretty good. Did making the fake git look like? Yeah, that's all I did for the fake git. I just looked at the stuff that that they were generating and generated stuff with the same pattern, right? Centaur Warrunner, was that generated at some point? Are you capitalizing the original source strings? No, not at the moment. Oh, wait, you probably were telling me that back when I was. Yeah, okay, never mind. Did making the fake git look similar to this? Yes. Do you also need the one-word type names like Doom or Silencer? The problem is I don't know that we can really do that because we just have to add those words, right? So I don't know how we would do that. Because it has to find a word in the English language that could probably be a Dota hero and use it, and I don't know that's, while something we could try. What was the point of this? There is no point to this, other than we needed more Dota names. Linux memory macros, sure. Yes, we can do those. So the Linux memory macro problem, all I know about it is this. Push array and push size need to have the pound on them. And push and null terminate can't. That's all I know. So I will make that change, but I don't know anything else about it since obviously I don't compile on Linux. If that makes sense. So looking at the push struct, push array, push size, oops. So looking at these, so basically you're just saying push struct needs that, push array needs it, and push size needs it. Is that correct? That's what it says here. Push struct, push array, push size. Push and null terminate should not have it at all, I guess. Are you sure it shouldn't have a comma with that after it? Does it are you sure it doesn't have to have this? I think we need it to have that, don't we? Or maybe not. All right. So push and null terminate is trying to pass its entire set down here with the comma. Oh, it just needs that, probably, right? Is that sufficient? And we don't want the comma? I thought you did need the comma. You can't just do that, can you? Yeah, you can't do that. You have to do that. That's the only legal one that I know about. Right? Is that good, Uplink Coder? Well, I guess I can check this in and then we can fix it if that's not good enough. Right. So we'll just say, like, off we go. Someone wanted to see the main function again of our Dota hero generator. So let me just jump down there. Here it is. And here's the get hero name. Do you think it's a worthwhile exercise learning to program for Game Boy or some other constrained platform, or is it too esoteric, specialized to be transferable? Well, I guess what I would say is it's definitely a useful thing to do, and I think you would learn a lot from doing it. The question is not really if it's transferable. The sort of the stuff you learn, a lot of it is stuff you can apply, and it helps you understand a platform and stuff, right? The question is just, is it the most efficient way to learn? Because there are plenty of things that are just plain specific to Game Boy that you'll be learning that really have no bearing on anything else. And so I don't know. I would say it depends a lot on how much time you have to spend and how much you care about maybe learning some things about a platform that you don't really need to know ever. So it's a kind of a toss-up. Have you ever programmed an emulator? No, I have not. I've programmed a few like cycle simulator things in the past that try to like take some like assembly language code for a particular platform and determine like what the CPU will do with it. But those were just to like do performance analysis. They were never designed to actually simulate the behavior like and actually produce output from it. You know what I mean? Will I be streaming beta JAI? I don't have a beta JAI. I would be happy to play around with it on stream though sometime for sure. I mean I don't know how to program in JAI, so you know it would be kind of a learning experience, right? So I certainly couldn't do much, right? But would you put today's achievement on your CV? This is my CV, all right? If you don't think that 100 perfect Dota names is a reason to hire me, I just don't know what to say. I do think it would be nice to hook this up to like a little Twitter posting bot so that it just generates a Dota name a day. I mean, I assume. I mean, I don't really know. Um, like if I went to twitter.com and I just, signed up and I said it was whatever the heck it is. Let's just see. So what I need here is I need to make an account, I guess, that could tweet out a hero every day, right? And let's see. Okay. Hello? So it never asked me what my handle would be. Why not? What's my handle? Weird, so it just doesn't. You don't get to pick your handle anymore? That really sucks. Man, Twitter just gets worse and worse. Like it never asked me what the handle was. It said what name, and it just like randomly concatenated my name. I guess you can change the username. All right, so I've created an account called Daily MOBA Hero. So I guess Twitter allows you to change it, so that's fine. So we now have Daily MOBA Hero. And let's just tweet one of our names from today. I think, let's see what we should have. Forge Maiden, I think, is going to be it. And so we'll just go ahead and make that happen there. I will hook it up to a Twitter bot later today so that it just tweets out one of the things that this thing generates every day, right? And that'll be that. All right, folks. It's happening. We're good to go. So I'll get that worked out as soon as I can, and we'll go from there. Let me wrap it up for today. Because I mean, I really think it would be a crime for the world to not have our daily MOBA hero available. Maybe tomorrow you should show us how to hook our name join up to Twitter. I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna use a command line to like probably just a cron job, right? That just sits there and posts it. That's all I'm gonna do. If you had 2 weeks to generate plausible looking portraits to go with Dota hero names, which approach would you take? I don't know. That's probably not a 2-week thing, unless you just wanted to hack together some like AI image libraries or something. In an API, how might you distinguish between functions that do things in place to already allocated memory versus ones that do the same thing on freshly allocated memory? For example, an image processing function that modifies bitmap memory in place versus one that returns a modified image. So in APIs, I pretty much never do that. I never have the API allocate the memory. I always have the memory get passed in. And then if you want it to allocate the memory, you just do a secondary call or something that makes it allocate, and then you pass that. That's pretty much what I always do. Could you show us how to hook it up? Is it hard? No, there's just command line utilities to tweet. Pretty sure you don't even have to do anything. If you want to write your own, it's a huge pain in the butt because you got to write OAuth, which is a nightmare. So I would highly recommend not writing a Twitter bot from scratch, because then you're in like the OpenSSL territory, which is terrible. But if you don't mind using curl or something, then it's pretty easy. All right, folks, that's it for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining me for another episode of Handmade Heroes. It's been a pleasure coding with you as always. We now have something that generates Dota hero names, which is pretty much the coolest thing that you can have at the end of a programming stream. So congratulations, folks. I will be back here next weekend when we will do our light probe work. Till then, have fun programming, everyone, and I'll see you on the internet. Take it easy, everybody.